Vikings talk. It's Purple Daily on Score North and ScoreNorth.com. Purple Daily, presented by Surly Brewing Company.
You think you like football? John Madden doesn't just like football. He loves football.
Have you ever seen a defensive back with a good personality that was any good? Defensive backs usually don't have nice personalities. And linebackers don't either. I mean, linebackers, they're all half goofy. They got their eyes, staring and looking and crossed. Now, the nice guys are like this guy here, Jason Garrett. Third quarterback, wears a cap, went to Princeton. These guys like this guy here, Charles Haley, nope.
No.
Football! Football! Gotta eat!
Oh man, I finally watched the John Madden documentary last night. Oh,
I still gotta see it.
Oh, it's fantastic,
dude! It
is so good. I've watched it twice. I loved it.
It's so good, and all the different guys they got to come out. Bill Belichick, Lawrence Taylor, who's like, I don't do interviews, whatever. But they said it was about John Madden, and he. I mean, it was. If you are. I think also if you were born like before 1990, then John Madden was the soundtrack for a lot of your football viewing. But then if you were born after 1990, you were probably hooked on Madden, the video game.
That's exactly me. Yeah. That was my demographic for sure.
Highly recommended. It was amazing.
It's absolutely fantastic. Yes.
This is Purple Daily, daily Vikings entertainment. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die. And doesn't look like that's going to happen this year. Mathematically, it seems difficult now that they are out of the playoffs. So we're all about the last 5 episodes of this show, including Purple After Dark last night. It's all about what needs to happen going forward. Who should the coach be? Who are some quarterback options if they move on from Kirk Cousins? So we'll be doing all kinds of stuff like that on this show. And we love your input. We love the community that you have helped us build, especially through the YouTube channel. If you're watching us on a TCL TV, by the way, thank you, because TCL is a great TV for January playoff football viewing, one of the world's best-selling consumer electronics brands with a new lineup of award-winning TVs delivering the most entertainment with stunning resolution, all at an affordable cost. Enjoy more of the things you love with TCL. This is Write That Down Wednesday, where we put our careers and reputations on the line. Let's fire this thing up, Dex.
Most make predictions and then never admit they're wrong. Yeah, that's not Mackie and Judd. This is the place where we just totally own our horrible predictions.
Write this down.
And eat them for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Write that down.
It's Write That Down.
Write it down. You like writing things down.
With Mackie and Judd.
So we've got so much to be decided here still for the 2021 Write That Down season. So the way this works is the window is closed for 2021 season predictions now that the calendar has flipped. Any prediction you make will be for 2022 or forward, even if you make one about the Super Bowl or something. But predictions made about the 2021 season are still on the board. And you'll see that a lot of things have come off the board, but a lot of things still remain on the board. So we're going to need some extra time in January to continue to tabulate the votes in 2021. We've got a completion percentage race that we're trying to decide. We got a touchdown title race we're trying to decide. It's all kinds of drama, Judd.
Stop the steal, Phil. Stop the steal. I won.
No,
I won. Everybody knows I won.
Is it Kornacki that they have now on NBC Sports doing the
Khakis Kornacki?
Yeah. Well, if we go down to St. Louis Park, we'll see a little bubble here that says this is going to happen.
Now, Judd could be in trouble if the.
This would be good news for Hennepin County because Hennepin County needs this vote.
Yeah, Judd's got a lot of optimistic defensive predictions that are going to come off the board. Optimistic defensive predictions that he was wrong about. They haven't been taken off the board yet. So here's how this works: 3 Vikings or football related predictions from everybody each week. They must be quantifiable. We keep track of completion percentage and touchdowns on this show. And listeners, if you want to participate, like our guy Ryan is about to, you can send us a message through the Score North app. There's a feedback tab at the bottom. You can send us messages to get on, write that down on Ventline. You can also hit us up with any sort of comments or feedback for Feedback Friday. So let's Feedback Friday on Mackie and Judd, I should say. But let's get to our first contestant. His name is Judd Zolgad, and he's been leading the completion percentage race.
Oh, my God.
I shouldn't speak, though. I'm guessing I'm going to have to.
Well, this is just a lot had to come off the board, and unfortunately
for
me,
it's just
gonna be pretty.
It's not. Just
I still won.
Film.
I still won. I'm still winning. I'm sure I'm winning.
You went to bed last night and you were winning, and you woke up this
I
morning.
like to hold a press conference right
what
now.
What happened?
I like to say,
All right, I'm gonna go easy on the buzzer here, so we won't blow people's eardrums out.
Thank you.
I'm just gonna go in chunks here. So, Judd had a bad week. You said NFL head coaches.
Year.
I think this was wrong. I didn't see any of these. You said NFL head coaches across the league will have some sort of patch or nod to John Madden.
That was terrible. They didn't do it.
There was a moment of silence, but there was no
Yeah, and that's not.
thing.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, that doesn't count.
You said the Vikings would win 4 of their final 6 games to finish 9-8, that they would face the Packers on Wild Card Weekend, that they would bring in an offensive advisor this season, that they would win 2 of their final 3 games and have at least 1 game shifted among the final 3 in terms of TV slot, and that they'd finish top 5 in rushing defense, which is mathematically difficult now. You also said Zach Wilson will be named NFL AP Offensive Rookie of the Year. Dalvin Cook would lead the NFL in rushing yards, that the Vikings would move on from Greg Joseph this season, and that Jordan Love would be top 5 in interceptions.
Whew. Oof. What else?
That's a year full of predictions.
Baker Mayfield had 10 incomplete passes in a row in that game the other night. This is basically that in write that down form.
Oh yeah. But I mean, it's not a week. Like this is a year. This is what comes back to bite you in the ass sometimes.
Yeah, these are the June to August.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly right. You know what?
Yeah,
that's fine. I am oddly at peace.
Okay,
I'm oddly at peace right now.
Okay.
Old Macadac had a interesting week here. We'll start with the bad here. I said the Vikings would win a road playoff game in the wild card round, that Dalvin Cook would go over 400 touches this year. Going to be tough. That Adrian, they give him the ball 110 times or whatever. No, just keep going out there. Adrian Peterson will pass Barry Sanders on the all-time rushing list this year. I mean, he didn't get that close, I guess, actually. And that in primetime games, Kirk would have at least 2 fourth-quarter comebacks, including the playoffs. All those were wrong. However, I said the Packers would beat the Vikings by at least 13 points or more. Let's talk about this one for a second, because you guys wrote borderline touchdown here. And I know you're going to say, well, Sean Mannion started, so...
Right.
But you made this in the spirit that Kirk was going to play.
So let's go through this.
Mm-hmm.
So this was a 6-point spread. I told you that the Vikings were going to lose by double the spread. And for that to happen, the quarterback had to catch COVID leading up to the game. Mm-hmm. The things that had to transpire for this to turn into... Now, the result was obvious once Kirk was out. But Kirk had to catch COVID for them to get blown out. And that's why I contest that this is still a touchdown.
Judd, what's your ruling here?
I'm fine with that. That's fine. Yeah. It's not a slam dunk.
Go ahead. You guys can talk it out. Talk it out
to me completely, Declan. But I'm also not opposed to it.
I will say, this is a booth review, right? Like all scoring plays are reviewed.
It is.
Yeah.
And the original call on the field was a touchdown. I don't think there's enough conclusive evidence to turn this out and not be a touchdown.
Okay.
I don't think so. I think it's a touchdown.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. And just for good measure, I also predicted Kirk Cousins would hit the COVID list before December 31st. That is also a touchdown.
Wasn't it on December 31st?
Yes.
Oh, my God.
Oh, that's even better.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I said Greg Joseph will remain the Viking starting kicker, which I also think could be a touchdown because I said that during training camp, and Mike Zimmer loves to cut kickers, but we'll just, I don't know. I'm not going to fight too much for that.
Yeah, I don't think
so.
that's a touchdown.
No, yeah.
But the first two, definitely.
It's a bold prediction.
I'm cool with that.
All right, let's get to the listeners here. There are multiple pages. It was really bad for the most part for the listeners.
Do we even want to read them all?
I don't know. I mean,
for the sake of time,
I'll pick some selected ones here.
Yeah,
sure.
Alex said Anthony Barr will record at least 1 sack, and Collinsworth will make mention of the collarbone injury. He didn't get a sack, and I don't think that happened. Let's see here. Vikings. Jonathan said Vikings will sweep the Packers, and they will be the 7 seed. Sam has Dantzler as the interception leader in the NFL in 2021. All of these are wrong. You can see all of these on the YouTube channel. We're going to spare you.
If you want.
I mean, there's literally, so on the first page, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 incorrect predictions. And then there's 5 more on the second page. Now, Bob did step up in the pocket. And he said at the beginning of the year, at least 3 quarterbacks will play for the Vikings this year.
Yeah,
that's a touchdown.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially with a durable starting quarterback like Kirk. So
yeah, no, easily.
And then page 3, there are, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 more incorrect predictions. But then Brady said Justin Jefferson will set the NFL receiving record for the first 2 years.
And he did?
In a career, whatever he did. So, yeah, it was bad all around for the listeners. And it was bad for Declan.
But I mean, this is, you know what, Dex? Don't feel bad. It catches up to you.
Okay.
It's a season.
A lot of stuff here.
It's a season.
You said Jefferson over 100 yards and a touchdown against the Pack. Vikings player will attempt a Lambeau leap. Vikings will lose to the Packers, which they did, and Zimmer would be fired before the Bears game, which, I mean, it's not going to happen.
If it comes back, great, but it's not going to happen.
Yeah. There will be no wild card teams out of the NFC North or East. The Eagles are a wild card team out of the East.
That's right.
Dalvin Cook will score at least 20 rushing touchdowns. Vikings will have more road wins than home wins. Vikings will be the 7th seed, and they will beat the Packers in the playoffs. Broncos will make the playoffs. Chargers will not. Greg Joseph, game-winning field goal for the Vikings in the playoffs.
Oh, God, what's the next page?
All of those are wrong.
What's the next page?
And so here's where we stand.
Oh, okay. Thank God.
Judd, still clean. You lost like 5% off your completion percentage here.
Yep, no
You're
question.
down to 36.8% with 7 touchdowns. Declan's at 35.2% with 7 touchdowns. I have climbed all the way up to 29%. This is actually 14 touchdowns. I didn't add the one that was in question. And listeners are down to 27.7% completions with 13 touchdowns.
So you hold
touchdown rate. Declan, you have 11 remaining outstanding 2021 throws to be tabulated. Yep. I have 12. Judd has 22, and the listeners still have over 30 predictions from the 2021 season that are still on the board in some form. So the rest of the month is going to play out very interestingly. I think it's still between Judd and Declan for the completion percentage lead, and the touchdown battle rages on between myself and the listeners.
Are you dead? For the completion percentage? It feels like, I mean,
Judd
I got
goes 22.
You'd have to go, I think you'd have to go badly. Like, I will say that most of your predictions are going to be wrong.
Okay, yeah.
I mean,
I'm just saying.
It's just kind of the nature of a lot of high expectations gone awry.
But I mean, this is a tough league too.
Did you see the game?
I'm getting hit.
How much more? Yeah, how many, Declan? How many more Judd predictions would you like to see next week? None. Would you like to see more Judd predictions? Not particularly.
Not particularly.
For me personally,
I see him every day.
I'm being let down by my line. By my coaching staff. So, like, I mean, I don't even blame myself.
Go back and watch the tape, Kirk. You'll be fine.
This is not my fault. But, I mean, you guys don't understand. This is not my fault.
I think if we lowered Judd's cap hit, we could deal with some of these late season
Well, you're not going to do that. No, I'm signing elsewhere.
I'm writing out the cap hit. I'm not extending this and dealing with this again in 3 years
I'm
from
signing a write that down contract elsewhere, guys. I'm leaving. Bye.
We're going to keep kicking the can down the road with Judd Zulgad.
Write this down.
All right, let's get our guy Ryan in here. He is our guest listener predictor to start the 2022 season. He's taking a break from his bench pressing reps right now to join us on Write That Down. What's going on, Ryan?
What's going on, guys?
Are you going to be slinging it around down the field? Are you checking down? What's your strategy here today on Write That Down?
I'm going touchdowns. I'm so sick of watching them be so conserved on TV. I can't then do that also. I'm going deep shots.
Love it. Love the aggressive mindset here. So we're going to take 3 trips around the room. We'll start with Ryan, over to Judd, back to Declan, and then myself, Phil. Let's do it. What's your first prediction, Ryan?
Alrighty. The Vikings will hire Brian Dable to be the head coach for 2022 for 2 reasons. One, I feel like they're going to be, dragging their feet early in the offseason, as they always do, not get those like tier 1, coaches. So, and also for number 2, I feel like Kellen Mond and Josh Allen are similar, like college prospects, live arms, mobile, accuracy was like suspect. So hopefully, that'd be a guy that can, try to mold Kellen instead of having to go try to find a different QB, in a draft. So hopefully, they get a quality head coach.
Interesting. Yeah, I like
that take.
The Josh Allen comparison, because both those guys were kind of projects. And now Josh Allen, I think, in terms of like physical traits, like there's a reason why that dude was a high first-round pick and Kellen Mond was a third-round pick. But, yeah, like getting the right guy into mold, you could probably do worse. So
I like that one.
Write this down.
All right, Judd.
All right. Either Dalvin Cook, Harrison Smith, or Adam Thielen won't be back next season. At least one of those three will not be back. They will either be traded or more likely one of them might be cut outright because they refuse a salary reduction. But at least one of three, Dalvin Cook, Harrison Smith, or Thielen, will not be back in 2022 with the Vikings.
I would be surprised if they couldn't, like if that comes true, I think it's a trade. I don't see those guys, like those guys all have a ton of gas in the tank for 2022. Maybe they're not as good as they were 2 years ago.
Yeah.
But somebody would give you a 4th-round pick or something,
We got to do
Second-round pick.
what we've got to do. I can't be concerned about them. I'm moving on.
Thielen's still one of the best red zone targets in the NFL, so I would be careful just straight up moving on, but he is also like the 3rd highest paid player on the team next year, and he can't stay healthy.
Just to be clear, I wish him the best of luck. Like he's served us well. He's from here, I heard. I wish him well.
Do you wish him well in his future endeavors? Like Vince
yeah,
McMahon
no
does?
question about it. No question about it. Thank you, Adam.
Write this down.
Okay.
All right, Dex.
All right, my first prediction. This is on the premise that Mike Zimmer's fired, so I guess I'll add it into the prediction, but Mike Zimmer will be fired. But this is my write that down prediction. Mike Zimmer will not hold the title of defensive coordinator on any team in 2022 by week 1 of the NFL season.
Okay.
So
I had that exact same one basically. That's hilarious. You said that. Okay.
my caveat, like if he's just
Yeah.
defensive backs coach,
Right.
this hits. Like he can't have the title defensive coordinator in his prediction. That's what I'm saying. I don't think he'll be I don't think they'll have that label on his job title in 2022.
I'm going to counter that one.
Write this down.
I'm going to counter that one because I think, write this down, Mike Zimmer will get a defensive coordinator job by April 1st.
Okay.
And I get where you're going with it. It's, the shine has worn off on his ability to coach defense, but I think the shine has worn off if you're a Vikings fan. I don't think the league thinks the shine has worn off. Did I not see, too, someone sent us a video of Antonio Brown doing a cameo?
Yes.
Someone sent him a cameo request
paid,
saying,
yep.
how would you, like, it was like $300. How would you, it was Joe Nelson, Bring Me the News, posted this.
Yeah.
And it was, $300. How would you fix the Vikings? And Antonio Brown basically said, just let Mike Zimmer fix it. Mike Zimmer is one of the best in the league. And I think that's still an overwhelming perception across the NFL that like Mike Zimmer is highly respected as a defensive mind, that maybe things have gone south as a head coach, but that there's still a lot of high football IQ there. So we'll see. I mean, there's going to be jobs available for him. There's probably going to be 5 or 6. I don't know, maybe not. Well, there's going to be some firings, and there might be a defensive coordinator that takes a head coaching job somewhere. So
Write this down.
we'll see. All right, Ryan, back to you.
All right, so with the front office turnover that hopefully they're going to have this offseason, I feel that they're going to get a lot more, offensive, minded as a franchise. So they're going to cut Harrison Smith, and they will not bring back Daniil Hunter, which really sucks. He's a great player, like one of my top 3 players. I still don't see them bring him back with 22 a year. That's something they can fit that. So I think those 2 players are both going.
Man. Yeah, Judd,
I could see that totally.
his contract situation, I mean,
March.
so they have to figure out if they're going to extend him or say goodbye, basically.
Or pay what we're talking about here, which is a massive lump sum to the cap. So something. The fact that he's been hurt so much the last 2 years really scares you, because like those guys can drop off the table quick, and if he drops off the table at this price, it's crippling.
What was remind me what the injury was that knocked him out for this season? Upper body, right?
Yeah, pec, right?
It's like a
pectoral.
I
He
think
did the same thing that Bart did.
Is there any sort of like saving optimism that these aren't lower body, leg, knee injuries? Achilles, like an Achilles, you're cooked. If you're a pass rusher, ACL is a problem.
Back-to-back being hurt, though, the back-to-back being hurt might speak to his body just breaking down. And again, I don't know how much you can pay a guy like that, but I mean, the problem is he's such a tremendous talent when he's playing.
As much as we talk about the quarterback decision is a huge one because you got to figure out, are you moving on? I think the second hardest decision is the Danielle Hunter, right? Because all of us are thinking about this Hall of Fame caliber player that was for 5 years, and you're hopeful that he can just get back to being that player because he's still in his prime.
Yep.
But if he's physically just kind of past that point, you have to make that decision, and oof.
And we're thinking of this in the context, I think, right now of how Rick would. Like, I think Rick would probably hold on to and or try and keep most guys. A fresh set of eyes could come in and say, Harrison Smith, you've been great, but you're gone. We're not going to pay Danielle. Dalvin. I mean, Dalvin Cook, I'm sorry, for as talented as he is, if you are an impartial observer of Cook, he misses too much time.
Yes.
And again, he's going to wear down. Like eventually he's going to go off that cliff. Mm-hmm. And you do not want him going off that cliff when you owe him money.
I'll tell you who we'd like to be in a long-term contract with is Livia. Okay.
Oh,
because Livia has helped Judge shave pounds and pounds off of that frame.
In fact, my friends at Livia Weight Control Centers, gentlemen, have helped me go from about 240 pounds a few months back to 208, feeling great, down a couple of pant sizes. I was fitting in snug to a 38-inch waist jean, and now 36, sort of loose. It's fantastic.
Now you're feeling snug, as Randy in Cottage Grove would say.
Snug.
When it comes to weight loss, there's no better feeling also than saying, I did it. Take the Livia I Did It 8-week challenge and get your first 8 weeks for free. No salary cap problems there, right? First 8 weeks for free. This limited time offer ends soon. Call today, 855-GO-LIVIA, or visit Livia, Livea.com, Livea.com. Get the new year started right. Tell them Judd and Score North sent you, and you will be very happy that you did as you start to feel better and as you start to get more clothes back in rotation because they start to fit. So it happened to me.
You know, Chill Boys is another one of our favorite partners here on the show. And I'll tell you, I always have a hard time figuring out for some family members, like, what do I get them for Christmas, holidays? I don't want to be gift card guy always, but I thought, man, you know what? I'm gonna get the men in my life, father-in-law, brother-in-law, some Chill Boys long underwear.
Like it.
And it was the hit of the holiday season. They loved them. Yeah. I'm telling you, if you haven't strapped on a pair of Chill Boys and experienced the most comfortable underwear in the world as we see it, you're missing out. Chillboys.com, Minnesota-based company. I'm rocking Chill Boys right now. Feeling good.
Fantastic.
Feeling nice and comfortable. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So check them out at chillboys.com. All right, I think we're back to Judd here. Your second prediction.
Kellen Mond will take snaps on Sunday against the Bears. So Cousins is going to start.
Is he going to be active?
Cousins is going to start. I'm saying that yes.
Okay.
Could be wrong. Don't know. But I have a feeling that Kellen Mond is going to at least be allowed to put some things on tape. As coaches like to say, right? We want to see him on tape. So he will take some snaps. I'm not guaranteeing the amount. I'm not saying that he is going to play a ton, but I am saying that he will get some snaps on Sunday.
Okay. All right, Dex.
All right, my second prediction. I will say it's an NFL one, but I will say the Raiders will make the playoffs.
Okay.
So I believe if the Raiders win, they're in, and they can still backdoor into it if like the Chiefs lose or something. There's a couple scenarios where they can still get in, even if they don't win.
So the Colts are playing the Jaguars, right?
Yeah.
And then the Chargers and the Raiders are playing each other. That's basically a playing game. The Steelers are still alive, barely. They're like 5% or something. I think if the Steelers win and the Jaguars beat the Colts, then the Steelers get in. So there's a few scenarios in the American football conference.
They're at like 53% basically right now. So they need to win. If they win, they're in. But I will just say the Raiders will make the playoffs no matter what the scenario is.
I'm gonna keep countering predictions here. Write this down. Kellen Mond will not be active against the Bears on Sunday.
Active?
I think he will not be active.
Okay.
So the active quarterbacks are going to be Sean Mannion and Kirk Cousins, is what I'm saying.
Got it. Okay.
I think Mike Zimmer is a renegade at this point, and his sole purpose is to just finish like as close to 500 as possible, so he can say, "Hey, what do you want from me? My train wreck seasons are still 500." Right? This is what we like. I think he was so disgusted by last week's performance, and he doesn't like Kirk, but he's going to want Kirk Cousins to start, and then a professional who knows the playbook in Sean Mannion as his backup quarterback, and he will deactivate Kellen Mond just to prove a point.
If both the tackles don't play and Kirk Cousins plays the entire game, he might get killed.
Yeah, he might get hurt.
Would Mike actually put
Mike doesn't. Yeah, Mike
Oh,
doesn't
wait.
give a
Oh,
rip,
wait.
but-
Never mind.
Yeah, it's a serious question.
As Mike is going out the door, Kirk is being stretchered off the field.
Mike is hoping that happens, I think.
Write this
Just
down.
like
So
just
mean.
double middle fingers to the entire organization. All right, back to Ryan, your third and final prediction.
All right, with my last one, all of the third-round picks from this previous draft, so that would be Mond, Wyatt Davis, Chad Surratt, and Patrick Jones, they will either not see the field or they will not play until the fourth quarter in this last game against the Bears, which is really stupid. Like, if that happens, Rick should be gone because you got to see what you have. If you're going to move forward with a new team, see what you have now to know, okay, what is good, what is not. But I have a feeling they're going to roll out, Kirk, all, the veterans, Barr, even like Blake Lynch should play. See what you got. Nick Vigil won't be back, isn't a core piece, but they'll just trot it out there for no reason.
Yep.
It'll be a waste of a game. Just that's what they always do, which just sucks.
And that's because the head coach and the GM are not on the same page. I'm guessing they probably aren't communicating a lot this week. I'm not reporting that. I'm just saying, like, is there any scenario in which Rick Spielman and Mike Zimmer are communicating with each other this week beyond, like, running into each other in the office? It's got to be so uncomfortable. So, Ryan, great stuff, dude. Love the throws down the field. Since you've got this life-changing platform right now on Purple Daily, is there anyone in your life you'd like to thank that brought you to this pinnacle moment?
Oh, of course. I thank my family. Love them so much. And I want to talk to the fans for a second. We got to stop with the blame it game. Oh, we're going to blame Kirk. We're going to blame Mike. We got to put that behind us. It's not about them anymore. They've shown they have not held up to their end of the bargain. So on Ventline, we got to come together, as a, future, we got to think 22 and beyond and not worry about whose fault it is. We got to stop playing the blame game. We got a clear head and a focus going forward.
I love it, man. That's a great message.
Amen.
Solutions.
Yep.
Amen.
In the new year.
Solutions. I think
Yep.
we can adopt that here, too, on Purple Daily. I mean, we've done a lot of therapeutic griping about the things that have gone wrong, but I think we're starting to turn a corner here. Not this game on Sunday doesn't matter. Like, whatever happens doesn't really matter. So I think we should adopt the mantra. It's all about solutions from this point forward. Are you part of the solution or not? And if you're not, then get out of the way.
Fired.
You're fired. All right, Ryan, great stuff, dude. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ryan.
All right, guest listener predictor. Ryan. Love it. Love the message right there. Print the shirts.
Give Vikings peace a chance, is what he said.
Yeah. Hang the banner. All right, Judd, your third prediction.
So my third prediction was basically identical to what Declan had, which was that Zim is not going to be a defensive coordinator at the start of the 2022 season. But obviously, I had to change it a bit, add on to it, do something different. So very quickly, I spitballed and I thought to myself, well, I still agree with that. I don't think he's going to be a DC. And I think there's a good chance that he actually might sit out next year. And so I'm going to say that Zim is going to go the Mike McCarthy route. And you can write this down. Mike Zimmer will sit down with our friend, Tom Pelissero, in the next year to make his case for why he should be an NFL head coach again.
I love it.
It might work, it might not work. But
off the record, will
McCarthy,
it be on the Kentucky Ranch?
Yes. And if you recall, McCarthy, I don't know that he built one, but he put together a film room and brought in a bunch of his old crony associates, and they all schemed up how they would approach if and when he got a job, and obviously he got the Dallas job. But Tom went down there and did a story on that entire thing. And so I'm saying that Mike in particular, who I think is friends with Tom, that they will sit down and do a very similar story, in which case Mike, who will be unemployed at the time, will make his case for a job.
I love it. Can we put an expiration date on this to be like by the start of the 2023 season?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yes.
Okay.
Within the next year, I said. I think if he hasn't done it by then. So, yes, definitely. That's very fair.
Okay. Yeah. No, I think that's a great one. That's a great one. Do you think Mike McCarthy maybe could have gone back and spent 5 minutes on clock management when he was out for that year, sitting out, studying?
I'm honestly surprised he didn't. Like, it's quite clear he didn't, or it looks like he didn't. It's
always the thing that these guys overlook, right? It's like scheming and personnel and X's and O's and this and that and practice schedules. And it's like, yeah, but, 30% of your games come down to whether you know how to call timeouts in the right spot, go for it on fourth down, etc.
And this was your year to improve that. Like, that's what I don't get. It's an obvious blind spot. Why wouldn't you spend the year that you're out of coaching working on the blind spot?
And those are the biggest things. Like when Booney brought up Pete Carroll yesterday, like Pete's bad at that stuff. You can't be bad at that stuff in 2022 anymore.
Right.
It is a disqualifier.
You're exactly right.
All right, Declan, your final prediction here.
All right, I'll finally make a Vikings-Bears related prediction. I will say Justin Jefferson will catch a touchdown against the Bears. One more touchdown. One more gritty dance for Justin Jefferson. Yeah, so Justin Jefferson will catch a touchdown.
No,
I think he's at 9. Get him to 10 on the season?
No, Judd, no. I'm not.
He's going to throw the touchdown.
No, he won't.
It's time to turn him loose.
Yeah, we have, just so the Purple Daily audience knows, on Mackey and Judd, write that down. There's a 3-point difference between Judd and Declan's batting average. Judd is clinging to a 3-point lead, but he has 3 predictions on the board that all come off on Sunday for the 2021 season. Kyle Rudolph needs 3 touchdown receptions to get to 4 on the season. That's one of them.
Not coming off.
Justin Jefferson needs to throw a touchdown pass. Or the Vikings need to beat the Bears. Judd needs one of these predictions to hit.
Right.
Or Declan wins. Write that down.
This is great. And Declan's done, so he's set.
He's yeah,
he's set. Yeah, he's watching on TV right now.
All right, my final prediction is,
Write this down.
We're headed for some major changes here, and usually, if you change out GM, coach, like the coaching staff usually gets wiped out, the front office gets wiped out. So I don't know what all is going to happen, but write this down: Rob Brzezinski will remain employed by the Minnesota Vikings. And I'll put an end date on that. I'll say he will still be employed by the Minnesota Vikings on May 1st, like through the draft, I'll say.
Through the draft.
Is that or maybe I should just say for the first day of training
season,
camp.
yeah,
the first day of training
you're saying
camp.
He's not going to be part of the group who's fired. So yeah,
he will. Whoever comes in will say, you know what, that guy is a cap wizard.
Because I think if they do change GMs, the ordinary protocol, I think, is to often keep scouting staff and like auxiliary staff through the draft, and then they get let go in May. So you're saying that Rob's going to survive everything.
Yep. So day one of training camp, once the entire offseason is played out, day one of training camp, Rob Brzezinski will still be with the Minnesota Vikings in some capacity. I think he's really good at his job, and I think some of it is, if your general manager brings in Kirk Cousins, there's only so much you can do with a guaranteed contract like that. And I like the job that he's done to create space the last couple of years, even though it hasn't worked out. Yes. I think the roster, if you're going to nitpick, is more on Spielman than it is on like cap incompetency.
I also think,
even though Kirk Cousins is cap incompetency, if that makes sense.
Rob is the smartest guy, I think, in the building. Like, he's a really smart guy. Yeah. So, yeah.
And so he's never really, you've covered him for like 15 years. Like, he never really had the itch to be a GM? He's just,
I think at one time he might have a bit, but it's not, it wouldn't be his strength. Like, he is great at what he does, and I think he's smart enough to know that. So, if you're that smart, I think lots of times different jobs and like promotions, being GM, Phil, might intrigue you. But I think you also come back to, well, hold on a second here. I do this thing really well. And his management of the cap and which has a lot more than just the cap, but his ability in that role, he is really good. So yes, I do not think he would be fired. And I would actually say that would probably be a mistake, because I don't think you're going to bring in somebody in the same position who's better.
Yeah. Yeah. So I have a feeling that, what is it, Wednesday here, in a week from now, all hell has broken loose by this point.
Yes.
You know, major changes that we haven't seen in almost a decade with the Vikings. So
yes,
definitely stick with us here. We'll get to purple positivity in a second, but the most positive thing I can say is that Surly has amazing beer.
Oh, it's fantastic. It's fantastic. And Surly has all of these different brands, Phil and Declan, which are fantastic. I mean, they run the gamut of good beers. But if you were to ask me in particular, Judd, okay, a lot of good beers, but what's your favorite Surly beer? Surly Furious IPA. It is the best IPA around. I have said before that I believe it is truly the best IPA in the entire world, but I know this. It is the beer that should be by your side through thick and thin as you navigate, as you go through all of the changes that we're about to see on the landscape for the local football team, Surly Furious. It's going to be the one constant in a sea of off-season change for you.
Yes. Let Surly be that guiding light and that one constant in your life. Also, Federated sort of acts as a guiding light for your business. If you're a business owner out there, Federated Insurance has over 100 years of experience, trusted people and resources, helping to protect your business against risks. So you think, especially during these wintry months, you know, just the things that could impact your business or employees, Federated helps you look out past the horizon and guard against potential risks. Think of them as your offensive line at Federated for your business. Federatedinsurance.com. And remember, at Federated, it's our business to protect yours. Let's start with Declan here. It is Purple Positivity Wednesday. Bring some shining light to us. What is the most positive thing you can say about the Minnesota Vikings?
I will say this. I will say that the Vikings have found a legitimate third wide receiver in KJ Osborn, who has stepped up big time this season. He had a hell of a training camp. He was a fifth-round pick, in 2020, and he has now emerged as a possible 3-deep option. And I know there could be a cap casualty, maybe in Adam Thielen. You maybe move on from him, but regardless, another wide receiver has stepped up. We were talking in training camp and leading up to the season that, well, if you take away Thielen or you take away Jefferson, that could become problems. Well, now all of a sudden, KJ Osborn has really turned himself to a nice third wide receiver. Is he a guy that can go over 1,000 yards next season if it was Jefferson and KJ? Who's to know? But at the end of the day, the Vikings did find a legitimate third wide receiver, and his name is KJ Osborn.
Yeah.
That's a great one. That's absolutely true.
I love KJ Osborn, man. So his numbers right now are 49 catches, 634 yards, and 6 touchdowns as the third wide receiver. Now, he's been the number 2 wide receiver for a few games because Thielen's been out. But, yeah, like he's 24 years old. That catch he made, when was it, like the third quarter, fourth quarter, over the shoulder? I mean, one hand. That's an absurd catch.
Yes.
So I could definitely see him as the number 2 wide receiver. And I don't want Adam Thielen to just be jettisoned, but that cap number is pretty aggressive. Ideally, you keep all 3 of those guys for next year and maybe the year after, but probably got to make it work with Thielen's salary.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Judd.
Most
optimistic thing you can say.
Okay, the most optimistic thing I can say is, while a lot of things did not work as far as guys being brought in, and this team, certainly for what the expectation was, has been a disappointment. I'm going to give you one that I think worked, and this guy has been a pro's pro, and he's been pretty good. Patrick Peterson, signed late. He was a guy who, with the Cardinals, his play probably had gone from what some would consider to be Hall of Fame type play. It had declined. Patrick Peterson, to me, has come in and done a good job. He has done a great job as far as we didn't know what to expect. He has not looked old. I think PFF wise, I'm guessing he's been pretty solid. He's not great now.
Yeah, he's basically been like league average.
But he's been a pro, and you know what too? He's there to answer questions. He's a smart dude. I think in a year at which a lot of moves that the Vikings attempted that we probably had high expectations for didn't work, I don't think that you could put Patrick Peterson, you can't lump him into the group of things that absolutely did not work. He's been a pro.
Yep. Yeah, I think I agree. Like he hasn't been a diva or anything. Like there was, I think some people in Arizona just thought that he was a complainer and stuff at the end of the season, but he's been much more of a leader than he has been like a part of the problem. And
Yep.
I don't know if he's going to be here next year or not, if it makes sense. Like, if you're at that stage in your career, like, he came here in part because money, but also in part because he thought they had a chance to compete for a championship. That's the one thing out of this season. It's like the amount of guys, Peterson, Adam Thielen, Harrison Smith, who came out and flat said before the season, and I think Xavier Woods said it a couple days ago too, like they legitimately thought they were going to compete for a Super Bowl.
And
they're dealing with that right now too. Yeah.
But I mean, we all thought this team is going to be good. Like, this is going to be a solid team that's going to, at the very least, contend for a division title. Yeah. So, like, them saying that now does not lead me to be like, what a joke. No, you weren't. I actually thought that this team was going to be good. But guys like Peterson and Woods could easily have become malcontents and been like, what the hell? What's going on here? And I think that it seems to me like those guys have been professional about this.
And I think, so with that, I would say my purple positivity is they're not that far away with the right changes. You know, I don't love certain parts of this roster going into next year, and the Danielle Hunter thing is the biggest elephant in the room. Like, if you're telling me that I get Danielle Hunter back and healthy, okay, now I'm really ready to go because now I got my edge rusher. But I think you've got 2 franchise offensive tackles. I think you've got 60% of an offensive line. You've got some ridiculous weapons, wide receiver, tight end, Irv Smith coming back, running back. Like, you got 3 professional running backs. So with the right coach, the right coordinators, maybe even a tweak at GM, I don't think you're that far away. Like, there's some teams that are going into a couple dark years. Like the New York Giants, it's going to be dark. It's just not good. Their roster's terrible. The Jaguars, it looks like it's going to be dark for at least a couple years. I don't think it has to be dark. I mean, think about how dark it feels the last couple years as a Vikings fan. They still won 7 games last year, and they might win 8 games this year, and I get that we shouldn't be hanging a banner for that. We should not be celebrating that mediocrity. Right. But they're not like 5 steps away from 10, 11, 12 wins like some of these other franchises are. So if they make the right chess moves in the next 2 or 3 months, they can take steps forward as soon as next season, I think.
The player personnel on this team is attractive. Like, I think if you get the right people to run this team, it's attractive. And I would, as much as fans bristle, I would far prefer to bring in a GM and coach and say, we might have to cut some players that are still productive and good, as opposed to, we got nothing. And I think what confuses us is the QB is probably not the right fit. And if you don't have a QB, it definitely hurts you. But if you look at the rest of this roster, 1, it's good. And 2, again, I would far prefer to say you're going to have to subtract a piece or 2 that might be productive, as opposed to, you got no safeties, you got no receivers, right? So I'm with you. I think that there's a lot about this that could be retooled fairly quickly into a good team. And hell, you guys, Justin Jefferson is a special player.
Yeah, I'd love to highlight an old friend and the former host of Purple Daily, Matthew Collard, tweeted something out. I think this was yesterday early evening, and it's sort of, he was just on a tweet spree last night, but this was sort of in response to the, why would how are you going to replace Kirk Cousins? What are you going what are you supposed to do? Like, who are the options? Right. And he said, how will the Eagles ever replace Carson Wentz? Well, they did, and now they're back in the playoffs with Jalen Hurts, and he's getting better. He's great. 2nd-round pick. Sorry, Chargers, you'll never find the next Phillip Rivers. They found a guy that's better and cheaper than Phillip Rivers by being aggressive in the draft. Why are the Ravens drafting a quarterback when they already have Joe Flacco? It worked. Hey, Kansas City, you're good with Alex Smith. They moved on to Patrick Mahomes. Cowboys, you have Romo. Why are you drafting Dak Prescott? Well, Mariota was in the playoffs, Tennessee. Why are you ditching him? Well, they got better with Ryan Tannehill. Like, there's always a chess move to be made. There's always a move. You don't have to be stuck with the 12th best quarterback who makes the 3rd most money. You don't have to be. Yeah. So let's find some solutions here.
And
in the next couple months.
And when you walk in to the Vikings facility and have a roster that is fairly plentiful, like it's got, you're starting off in good shape. in good shape. But you're right. It takes some gutsy moves by people who 100% you have the feeling know what they are doing. And look, Rick has done a good job for a long time. But there's a lot now that Rick does where you're like, I don't know about that. And it's not everything, but it's some things. And if you get a staff here that can do what the Chargers did, which you're right, it took guts. But you know what? If it works, the upside is huge.
Yep. One more thought here, and then so tomorrow on Purple Daily, you guys are going to I gave my list of potential Kirk Cousins replacements on Mackey and Judd today. You guys are going to give your list tomorrow on Purple Daily of if they move on from Cousins, who are some realistic guys that you could go after via trade, free agency, whatever it may be. According to Pro Football Focus, the established Vikings player that dropped off the most this year was Eric Kendricks, who's now in his 30s.
He didn't have a good year.
So that's something to monitor, too. Did we potentially witness, as you're looking for ways to cut salary cap and ways to get younger and change this thing up, like
right.
there could be dudes like that are Ring of Honor caliber players for the Vikings that might not be here next year.
And don't forget, he was also supposed to thrive with Tomlinson and Pierce in front of him on that defensive line, and it sort of went the opposite way. And Pierce was hurt a lot, so I'm not completely blaming Kendricks, but I am saying the assumption of what was going to happen didn't even come close to happening.
I just got a DM from a Purple Daily listener. The guy on the other station said today that we need to keep Mike Zimmer to maintain stability.
Yeah, well,
was that a take that was uttered? Can someone confirm that?
I think he wants him kept. I think he's made it clear he wants him kept.
Maintain stability. Stability is earned.
7-9, baby.
Well, sometimes stability is a bad thing. Again, it can be a crutch.
Yes.
Stability can be a crutch of we're afraid to make change. Can't be afraid in this league, folks.
Yeah.
Can't be afraid.
Thankfully, I think the listeners and viewers of Purple Daily are high IQ Vikings fans that
great.
Understand that there is another path from this mediocre path that they've been on here.
They're great. Love them.
All right. Yeah. Love you guys. Thanks for hanging out with us here on Purple Daily. Please click subscribe on the YouTube channel if you haven't already, and we'll get you that daily Vikings entertainment in your feed. See you tomorrow.